Before anything else, hear this clearly. This moment did not find you by chance. You did not drift here. You did not wander into these words. And you did not pause because you were bored. Something deeper than curiosity slowed you down. Something quieter than noise asked you to listen. And you listened. That alone tells me more about your heart than you realize. Out of everything competing for your attention, you stopped. Out of all the directions you could have gone, you stayed. This world trains you to rush, to skim, to move on before anything can touch you too deeply. Yet here you are, still, present, reading, listening. That choice matters. It always has. It always will. What looks small to you is never small to me when it is done with openness. I am not speaking loudly to impress you. I am speaking gently because gentleness reaches places noise never can. I am speaking now because moments like this shape futures quietly. You may not feel anything dramatic yet. No thunder, no sign, no instant change. But alignment rarely announces itself. It settles in softly, like light entering a room you did not realize was dark. Many people move through their days, exhausted, distracted, full, yet empty. They sense something missing, but cannot name it. They keep scrolling, keep rushing, keep filling the silence, because stillness feels unfamiliar. Stillness asks questions. Stillness reveals truth, and truth requires attention. Most avoid it without knowing why. You did not. There has been a restlessness in you, even if you tried to ignore it. A quiet sense that life is more than survival, more than routine, more than just getting through the day. You have asked questions you did not speak out loud. You have carried weight others never noticed. You have protected hope even after disappointment tried to convince you to let it go. I have seen all of it. None of it was wasted. This pause is not disconnected from your past or your future. It is part of the same thread. Life does not change only through loud decisions. It turns through small responses. A moment of listening. A willingness to stay. A choice to be present instead of distracted. That is how direction begins to form. You may think you are ordinary. You are not unseen. You may feel behind. You are not late. You may feel unsure. You are not lost beyond reach. If you were, you would not be here. Hearts that are closed do not pause. Spirits that are numb do not feel a pull to stay. What brought you here is the same thing that will guide you forward if you protect it. I want you to understand something important. Staying is not passive. Staying is an answer. It is a quiet yes before understanding arrives. It is trust forming before clarity appears. When you choose to stay present, you invite peace to begin its work. Not all at once, not perfectly, but enough to take the next step with a lighter heart. You do not need to prove anything here. You do not need to be stronger, wiser, or more faithful than you are right now. Presence is enough. Honesty is enough. Willingness is enough. I meet you where you are, not where you think you should be. If these words are settling into you and something inside you agrees, don't scroll past that recognition. Acknowledge it by typing yes in the comments, not for me, but to mark this moment for yourself. The world will try to pull you back into speed as soon as this ends. It will tell you this was just another video, just another pause, just another feeling. But remember this, distraction does not usually arrive as chaos. It arrives as familiarity. It looks harmless. It feels normal. And slowly, it pulls attention away from what matters most. Awareness is what protects you from that drift. What you practice grows. When you practice rushing, your heart hardens. When you practice presence, your spirit stays responsive. Guard that responsiveness. Feed it with moments like this. Build space into your life where listening is possible. That is where guidance becomes clear. This series is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to walk with you. Each part builds quietly, helping you recognize patterns, release unnecessary weight, and realign with purpose. Stay with it. Watch until the end. Do not rush the process. What forms slowly tends to last longer. You will still face responsibilities after this. The same environment may still surround you. Some challenges will still be there. But something within you can be different, softer, steadier, more aware. And that internal shift changes how you meet everything else. If these words brought peace, clarity, or reassurance into your heart, take a moment now to like, subscribe, and share this message with someone who may need it. And if you feel happy with what you're receiving and want to help this ministry continue reaching hearts, you can support the ministry through the link given below. Your support helps keep messages like this available to those who are still searching. My child, listen carefully now, not with urgency, but with attention. There is a reason you are still here. Many begin, few continue. Many feel a moment stir within them, but only a handful remain long enough for it to take root. You remained, and remaining always reveals something about the heart. The world has taught you to believe that progress comes from speed. Faster answers, faster results, faster movement. Yet some of the most important shifts in your life will never happen at a running pace. They unfold when you slow down enough to notice what is already near you. Staying is how depth forms. Staying is how truth moves from words into life. You may not fully understand why you are drawn to continue listening. You might even question yourself. That questioning is not weakness. It is awareness waking up. When awareness rises, old patterns feel less comfortable. Noise begins to feel heavy. Distraction starts to lose its appeal. This is not something to fear. It is something to honor. Many walk away from moments like this because they underestimate them. They assume meaning must arrive loudly to matter. They expect clarity to come fully formed. But clarity grows the same way trust does. Gradually, quietly, through repeated willingness. Staying is how that willingness becomes a habit rather than a one-time response. I want you to notice something about your own life. The moments that shaped you most were not always dramatic. Often they were simple. A conversation that lingered. A truth that stayed with you. A realization that arrived without announcement. These moments changed you because you gave them space. You did not rush past them. You let them settle. Distraction works differently. Distraction pulls you away before meaning can land. It convinces you that later will be better, easier, more convenient. But later is not guaranteed in the way you think. What is available now may not wait for the perfect moment. That is why presence matters so much. You are not behind because you take time. You are not weak because you feel deeply. You are not failing because your journey feels slower than others. Some paths require listening more than rushing. Some lives are shaped through awareness rather than speed. Your pace has protected you in ways you may only understand later. There have been seasons when you felt out of place, as if you were moving differently from those around you. That difference is not accidental. Those who listen cannot live the same way as those who numb. Those who stay cannot be satisfied with shallow answers. You were not designed to skim the surface of life and move on untouched. Staying requires courage. It takes courage to remain with unanswered questions. Courage to feel instead of numbing. Courage to sit with truth instead of escaping into noise. Yet this courage does not roar. It does not demand attention. It simply chooses presence again and again. I want you to apply this in your daily life. Begin noticing where you rush without need. Notice where you scroll to avoid feeling. Notice where you fill silence because it feels uncomfortable. Then gently choose differently. Pause before reacting. Listen before speaking. Stay with moments that invite reflection instead of fleeing them. You will find that peace does not come from controlling everything. It comes from being attentive to what matters. Direction does not always come from knowing the full plan. It comes from taking the next honest step with awareness. Staying teaches you how to do both. This is why I ask you not to treat these moments lightly. They are training your heart. They are sharpening your awareness. They are reminding you that your life is not random and your future is not fixed. Each choice to remain present strengthens your ability to hear what truly matters. If something in your heart is recognizing this truth, respond to it by commenting, "I'm listening," below. Let that be your quiet agreement with what is unfolding. There will be days when staying feels inconvenient, when slowing down feels costly, when listening feels harder than rushing forward. In those moments, remember this: what you rush past today may be what you need most tomorrow. Presence is never wasted. Awareness always gives more than it takes. You are learning to live differently, even if you cannot yet explain how. That difference will show up in your choices, your relationships, your sense of peace. It will guide you away from what drains you and toward what strengthens you. This is how alignment begins, not with perfection, but with attention. Continue with this series. Do not drop off midway. Each part builds upon the last, gently helping you see patterns, release unnecessary burdens, and realign with what brings life. Watching until the end is not about commitment to a video, it is about commitment to your growth. You do not need to rush the process. You only need to stay open to it. Staying will continue to shape you in ways that noise never could, and what is forming within you now will serve you far beyond this moment. My child, there is something sacred happening beneath the surface of this moment, something you cannot fully measure yet. You are not just hearing words. You are learning how to listen again. Listening is different from hearing. Hearing happens automatically. Listening requires choice. And every time you choose to listen, alignment begins to take shape quietly within you. Most lives drift, not because people intend to lose direction, but because they stop listening to what matters. Noise trains the heart to react instead of discern. Speed trains the mind to move before understanding forms. Over time, people forget what it feels like to be inwardly guided. But you are remembering, and remembering changes everything. Listening is how you recognize when something does not belong in your life anymore. It is how you sense when a door is closing even if it looks open. It is how you notice when peace withdraws from a path you are forcing. These signals are gentle. They do not shout. They wait for attention. That is why so many miss them. You have felt moments like this before. Times when something inside you hesitated, even though everything on the outside seemed acceptable. You may have ignored those signals in the past, not because you were careless, but because you were learning. Learning takes time. Learning requires patience with yourself. I have never rushed you. I have always waited for your willingness. Listening is not about perfection. It is about responsiveness. It is about being honest when something feels heavy, even if you cannot explain why. It is about being brave enough to admit when a direction that once made sense no longer brings peace. Growth often begins with discomfort, not because something is wrong, but because something is changing. I want you to notice how listening feels in your body and your spirit. There is a settling when something aligns with truth. There is a quiet resistance when it does not. These are not emotions to suppress. They are signals to respect. When you learn to trust them, life becomes less confusing. You have spent time trying to reason your way into clarity. That is understandable. Reason has its place. But clarity is not born from overthinking. It emerges when listening balances thought, when awareness guides decision, when presence replaces pressure. That balance is what you are learning now. There will be moments ahead when you are tempted to override what you sense because it feels inconvenient. Listening may ask you to slow down when you want to hurry. It may ask you to let go when you want to hold on. It may ask you to wait when you want answers immediately. Trust that these pauses are not delays, they are protection. Alignment is not about doing everything right. It is about doing what is true. And truth often speaks softly. The more you listen, the easier it becomes to recognize what is not meant for you. You will waste less energy forcing outcomes. You will feel less pressure to compare your path with others. Peace will begin to guide your pace. Apply this in your daily life. Before reacting, pause. Before committing, listen. Before rushing into agreement, check whether your spirit is at ease. This does not make you indecisive. It makes you grounded. A grounded life moves with purpose instead of urgency. You may have wondered why certain things never worked out, no matter how hard you tried. It was not because you were incapable. It was because those paths required you to silence your inner guidance. What is aligned will not require you to abandon your peace. It may challenge you, but it will not hollow you out. Listening also teaches you when to stay and when to step away. Not every door is meant to be pushed open. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every relationship is meant to be carried into the next season. Discernment grows when you give listening space to breathe. This is why stillness feels unfamiliar to so many. Stillness reveals what noise conceals. It brings clarity where distraction numbs. It shows truth without decoration. And truth reshapes lives gently if you allow it. You are allowing it now, even if you do not yet see all the results. If your heart feels stirred and you sense that listening is becoming clearer for you, acknowledge that growth by commenting, "I choose awareness," below. Let that be your reminder when noise tries to pull you back. There is no rush to become someone else. You are not being asked to transform overnight. You are being invited to live more honestly, more attentively, more aligned. These shifts accumulate over time. Small choices build strong foundations. Quiet obedience shapes steady lives. Continue watching this series with patience. Each part is designed to strengthen your awareness and help you apply it practically. Staying to the end is not about endurance. It is about allowing truth to settle fully rather than partially. Your life will not look the same when you begin to trust what you hear in stillness. Decisions will feel lighter. Boundaries will feel clearer. Peace will become a guide rather than a rare visitor. This is not because circumstances change instantly, but because you do. Keep listening. Keep practicing presence. Keep choosing alignment over urgency. What is forming in you now will carry you forward with wisdom and steadiness. My child, there is a shift happening inside you that does not need to be announced to be real. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is not something others can easily see yet. But it is steady, and it is meaningful. Quiet shifts are often the most lasting, because they are not driven by emotion alone, but by truth taking root. You may wake up one day and realize that certain things no longer pull at you the way they once did. Conversations that used to drain you feel heavier. Noise that once distracted you now feels excessive. Situations you once tolerated now ask more of you than you are willing to give. This is not confusion. This is clarity beginning to form. Change does not always arrive as a clear decision. Sometimes it arrives as discomfort with what no longer fits. That discomfort is not your enemy. It is a signal. It tells you that growth has begun and that your inner world is adjusting before your outer life catches up. Many people resist this stage because it feels uncertain. They prefer the familiarity of old patterns, even when those patterns no longer serve them. Familiarity feels safe, even when it limits growth. But you are learning to trust something deeper than habit. You are learning to trust alignment. This shift within you is teaching you to pay attention to your inner responses. When peace withdraws, it is not punishment. It is guidance. When restlessness rises, it is not failure. It is information. Your inner life is becoming more articulate, not more fragile. You have spent time questioning yourself, wondering if you were overthinking or imagining things. Let me ease that burden. Awareness often feels like doubt at first, because it challenges automatic behavior. When you begin to notice more, you naturally question more. That questioning is part of learning discernment. There will be moments when this shift feels lonely, not because you are alone, but because you are becoming more selective. Not everyone can follow you into deeper awareness. Not everyone is willing to slow down. Some will misunderstand your pace. Others may misread your silence. That is okay. Alignment does not require universal approval. You are not withdrawing from life. You are engaging with it more honestly. You are learning when to speak and when to listen, when to stay and when to step back, when to invest and when to release. These choices create space for peace to grow. Apply this understanding gently. Do not rush to label or explain everything you feel. Allow yourself to observe without judgment. Ask yourself simple questions. Does this bring clarity or confusion? Does this strengthen or drain me? Does this align with who I am becoming? These questions will guide you more reliably than pressure ever could. The quiet shift within you is also teaching you patience. Not everything needs to be resolved immediately. Some answers come through time, not effort. When you stop forcing clarity, clarity often arrives naturally. This is how wisdom forms, through waiting without withdrawing, through staying engaged without rushing. You may notice that you are becoming less reactive. Situations that once triggered immediate responses now invite reflection. This is growth. It does not mean you care less. It means you are choosing depth over impulse. Emotional maturity is not the absence of feeling, but the ability to respond with awareness. This shift is preparing you for what comes next. You cannot carry new responsibilities with old patterns. You cannot step into clearer direction while holding onto constant distraction. Something within you is making room. Trust that process. Trust that what is leaving is creating space for what belongs. If you recognize this quiet change in yourself, affirm it by commenting, "I'm growing," below. Let that acknowledgement anchor what is happening within you. Do not measure your progress by how fast things change on the outside. Measure it by how you respond on the inside. Peace is becoming more familiar to you. Awareness is becoming more natural. Listening is becoming easier. These are signs of alignment taking root. Stay with this series. Each part is designed to help you understand and apply these shifts rather than fear them. Watching through to the end allows the message to build fully, rather than remaining fragmented. You are not losing anything essential by changing. You are shedding what no longer supports your growth. What remains will be more honest, more stable, more life-giving. This quiet shift is not an ending. It is a preparation. Remain present, remain patient. Let what is unfolding within you continue its work. What is forming now will guide you with greater clarity and steadiness in the days ahead. I want you to understand something that will change how you see your everyday life. Presence is not only a doorway to peace, it is also protection. When you live attentive instead of distracted, you avoid many paths you were never meant to walk. You escape burdens you were never meant to carry. You recognize danger, not because it announces itself, but because your spirit senses misalignment before your mind can explain it. Many people believe protection only looks like rescue after harm has happened, but the greater protection often comes quietly, before damage ever occurs. It comes through hesitation, through loss of interest, through an unexplained pause, through a moment where something that once felt attractive suddenly feels heavy. That is presence at work. That is guidance operating gently. You have been protected more times than you realize. There were conversations you did not join, choices you delayed, opportunities that faded. At the time, you may have felt confused or disappointed. But looking back, you can see how those moments redirected you. That was not luck. That was awareness shielding you. Distraction weakens this protection. When life is lived on autopilot, warning signs are ignored. Boundaries blur. Fatigue increases. People take on weight that was never theirs. But presence sharpens discernment. It helps you recognize when something costs more than it gives. It teaches you when to step back before exhaustion becomes burnout. This is why slowing down is so important, even when the world praises speed. Speed often looks like confidence, but it can hide avoidance. Presence may feel slower, but it leads to steadiness. Steadiness builds lives that endure rather than collapse under pressure. You are learning to notice when your energy shifts around certain people, places, or commitments. This is not judgment. It is information. Not everything that is good for you. Not everything that is available is assigned to you. Presence helps you differentiate without guilt. Apply this practically. When you feel pressure to say yes immediately, pause. When something feels rushed, ask yourself why. When peace leaves a situation, do not silence that signal. Pay attention to what your inner life is communicating. It is trying to keep you aligned, not restricted. Presence also protects your heart. It keeps you from absorbing emotions that are not yours to carry. It helps you empathize without becoming overwhelmed. It allows you to care deeply without losing yourself. This balance is learned, not automatic, and you are learning it now. You may notice that your tolerance for chaos is decreasing. You may feel drawn toward simplicity, honesty, and depth. This is not withdrawal. It is refinement. As awareness grows, excess becomes unnecessary. Noise becomes exhausting. What remains is what nourishes rather than drains. Protection does not mean your life will be free of challenges. It means challenges will shape you instead of shatter you. It means difficulty will teach you rather than harden you. Presence allows you to meet hardship with clarity instead of panic. There will still be moments when you feel tempted to ignore what you sense. Old habits do not disappear instantly, but each time you choose awareness over avoidance, you strengthen your inner guidance. Over time, it becomes more natural to trust it. You are not meant to navigate life guessing at every turn. You are meant to live responsive, awake, and grounded. That is how protection operates. Quietly, consistently, faithfully. If you recognize how presence has already guarded you in unseen ways, acknowledge that awareness by commenting, "I see it now," below. Let that reflection deepen your trust. As we reach this point in the series, I want to encourage you to stay with it until the end. Each part is building upon the last, helping you understand not just what is happening within you, but how to live it out with wisdom. This is not about inspiration alone. It is about transformation that carries into daily life. If these messages are helping you, strengthening you, or bringing peace into your days, take a moment now to like, subscribe, and share this series with others who may need it. And if you feel led to support this ministry so these words can continue reaching hearts, you can do so through the link given below. Your support allows this work to continue and grow. God. Now that awareness has begun to take root within you, something else will try to re-enter quietly. It will not arrive as obvious opposition. It will not announce itself as danger. It will feel familiar, reasonable, even comforting. This is how distraction works, when it senses that you are becoming attentive. Distraction does not usually ask you to abandon what matters. It simply asks you to delay it. It says, "Not now." It says, "Later." It says, "This can wait." And little by little, presence is pushed aside, not by rebellion, but by postponement. This is why so many lose direction without ever making a clear wrong choice. You may notice this happening already. Moments where you intend to slow down, but something pulls you away. Times when you feel a nudge to reflect, but noise fills the space instead. This is not failure. It is awareness revealing what you are up against. The fact that you noticed the pull means you are no longer asleep to it. Distraction often disguises itself as responsibility. It tells you that you are too busy to pause, too tired to listen, too overwhelmed to reflect. It convinces you that stillness is a luxury rather than a necessity. But the truth is this: without presence, even good responsibilities become heavy burdens. You were never meant to carry everything at once. You were never meant to absorb constant noise without rest. When life becomes crowded, clarity does not survive. Attention is the soil where wisdom grows, and distraction slowly starves it. This is why guarding your awareness matters now more than ever. Not with rigidity, but with intention. You do not need to remove yourself from the world to remain attentive. You need to remain conscious within it, to notice when your energy is being scattered, to recognize when speed is replacing depth. There will be moments when distraction feels easier than presence. Presence asks you to feel what you might prefer to avoid. It asks you to sit with uncertainty instead of escaping into activity. But what distraction offers in comfort, it takes away in direction. What it promises in relief, it steals in clarity. You are learning to recognize this difference. When you choose to pause instead of immediately filling the silence, something settles within you. When you choose to listen instead of react, your thoughts become clearer. When you choose to stay instead of rushing on, peace has room to breathe. Apply this gently in your life. You do not need to fight distraction aggressively. You need to outgrow it consciously. When you notice yourself reaching for noise, ask what you are avoiding. When you feel the urge to rush, ask what you are afraid of missing. These questions do not condemn you. They guide you back to awareness. Distraction loses its power when it is seen clearly. It thrives in unawareness. Once you recognize its patterns, it can no longer quietly steer your life. You begin to choose with intention rather than impulse. That is where freedom begins. There will be days when you slip back into old rhythms. That does not undo your growth. Growth is not linear. Each return to presence strengthens your ability to remain there longer next time. Be patient with yourself. Learning attentiveness is a practice, not a performance. You may also notice resistance from your surroundings. Not everyone is comfortable with stillness. Not everyone understands a slower pace. Some may misinterpret your presence as distance. Others may pressure you to return to constant motion. Do not let that pull you away from what is forming within you. Your life is not meant to be lived at the volume of the world. It is meant to be lived at the depth of truth. Depth requires attention, and attention requires boundaries. Decide what deserves your focus. Decide what does not. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship of your inner life. If you are recognizing how distraction has subtly shaped your past and how awareness is reshaping your present, affirm that realization by commenting, "I choose focus," below. Let that choice strengthen your resolve. Stay with this journey until the end. Each part is designed to help you recognize, resist, and rise above what dulls your awareness. These messages are not meant to stay as ideas. They are meant to become practices that guide your daily life. Distraction will try again. It always does. But now you are learning how to meet it with clarity instead of unconsciousness. And clarity always wins over time. Remain attentive. Protect your presence. What you are becoming requires this level of awareness, and you are capable of it, one conscious choice at a time. My child, there is a place within you that has learned caution through experience. It is the part of you that once hoped freely, trusted openly, and believed without needing proof. Life touched that place. Disappointment visited it. And slowly, trust became guarded. Not because you lacked faith, but because you were trying to survive what hurt you. I want you to know this gently and clearly. The guarding of your heart was understandable, but it was never meant to be permanent. Protection was necessary for a season, but now healing is inviting trust to return. Not recklessly, not naively, but wisely. Trust does not come back all at once. It returns in small permissions, a willingness to listen again, a readiness to stay present a little longer. a choice to believe that meaning is still possible even when certainty is not. That is what you are practicing now. You may notice moments where your heart hesitates, where old memories rise and remind you of times when things did not turn out the way you hoped. That hesitation is not weakness. It is evidence of depth. You care deeply, and caring deeply always leaves a mark. But those marks do not disqualify you from trusting again. They prepare you to trust with discernment. Trust is not pretending that pain never happened. Trust is allowing truth to shape you more than fear. It is choosing to stay open even when you cannot control outcomes. It is believing that guidance is still available even when the path is not fully visible. You have been learning to listen, to stay, to remain present. These practices are rebuilding trust quietly. Each time you notice peace instead of panic, trust grows. Each time you respond instead of react, trust strengthens. Each time you choose awareness over avoidance, trust takes another step forward. I am not asking you to ignore your past. I am asking you to stop letting it decide your future. The same sensitivity that once made disappointment painful is now becoming discernment. The same openness that once left you vulnerable is now becoming wisdom. Nothing has been wasted. You may fear that trusting again will lead to being hurt again. That fear is understandable. But trust guided by awareness does not throw you into danger blindly. It walks carefully. It listens. It waits. It responds rather than rushes. This kind of trust does not abandon you. It supports you. Apply this to your daily life. When an opportunity arises, do not close your heart immediately out of fear. Pause. Listen. Notice whether peace is present. When a relationship invites deeper connection, do not assume it will repeat old patterns. Observe. Discern. Allow trust to build gradually rather than forcing distance prematurely. Trust also applies to your own inner guidance. You are learning that your awareness is not unreliable, that your sense of alignment is real, that your inner signals are not random. The more you honor them, the more confident you become in following them. Self-trust grows when you keep your own boundaries. You are not required to rush into belief. You are invited to grow into it. Trust matures through consistency, not intensity. It deepens when you see that presence leads to peace more often than not. It strengthens when you recognize that staying attentive has protected you repeatedly. There will still be moments when doubt speaks louder than trust. That does not erase your growth. Doubt is not the opposite of trust. It is often the doorway through which deeper trust forms. When doubt arises, do not silence it with fear. Meet it with listening. Ask what it needs. Often, it needs reassurance, not control. You are allowed to take your time. Trust that unfolds slowly tends to endure. You are allowed to question without closing off. You are allowed to hope without demanding immediate outcomes. These permissions are part of healing. If you feel your heart beginning to open again in small but meaningful ways, affirm that movement by commenting, "I allow trust," below. Let that statement remind you that healing does not require haste. Stay with this series through to the end. Each part is designed to help you rebuild what was strained without reopening old wounds. This is not about returning to who you were before pain. It is about becoming someone steadier, wiser, and more grounded because of it. Trust is returning to you, not as a risk, but as a strength. And as it grows, it will guide you into decisions that reflect clarity rather than fear. Remain patient. Remain open. What is forming within you now will support you in ways you once hoped for, but could not yet imagine. My child, there is a language you are beginning to understand again, one that does not rely on noise or urgency. It is the language of stillness. Stillness does not compete for attention. It waits. It does not force answers. It reveals them. And now that you have slowed enough to notice, stillness is beginning to speak to you in ways you may not have experienced before. For a long time, silence may have felt uncomfortable. When life has been demanding, stillness can feel like exposure. It leaves space for thoughts you would rather avoid and emotions you have postponed. That is why many fill every quiet moment with sound, movement, or distraction. But stillness is not empty. It is full of information. In stillness, you begin to notice what your heart has been carrying without words. You recognize tensions you normalized. You feel longings you buried under routine. You sense when something is unresolved, not to accuse you, but to invite healing. Stillness does not come to overwhelm you. It comes to restore alignment. You may be surprised by what rises when you allow silence. Memories, questions, hopes, or even grief may surface. Do not be alarmed. What comes up is coming up because it is ready to be addressed. Stillness brings things into the light gently, not to shame you, but to free you from carrying them unconsciously. This is why people often avoid slowing down. They fear what they might feel, but what you avoid does not disappear, it simply waits. Stillness gives you the chance to meet what waits with honesty and care. And when you do, its power over you begins to lessen. As you practice being present, you will notice that stillness does not demand immediate action. It invites reflection. It teaches you to sit with a thought without reacting to it, to feel an emotion without being consumed by it, to acknowledge a truth without rushing to fix it. This patience changes how you relate to yourself. Stillness also refines your ability to discern. When the noise quiets, what remains becomes clearer. You begin to recognize which concerns are truly yours and which you absorb from others. You start to see where your energy is being spent wisely and where it is being drained unnecessarily. These insights come softly, but they are precise. You do not need to create dramatic solitude to experience this. Stillness can be practiced in ordinary moments. A pause before responding. A breath before deciding. A moment of awareness while walking, working, or waiting. These small acts accumulate. They teach your nervous system that it is safe to slow down. In stillness, you may also encounter uncertainty. Not knowing can feel uncomfortable, especially if you are used to planning or controlling outcomes. But uncertainty is not the absence of guidance. It is the space where trust is exercised. Stillness teaches you to remain grounded even when answers are forming slowly. You may begin to realize that some of your anxiety was not caused by circumstances, but by constant mental noise. When thoughts slow, the body follows. Peace becomes more accessible. Clarity becomes less forced. This is not because life becomes simpler overnight, but because you become steadier within it. Apply this gently. Set aside moments where you do not seek stimulation. Notice your breath. Notice your surroundings. Notice your inner state without trying to change it. This is not passivity. It is awareness strengthening itself. Over time, you will find that your reactions soften and your responses become more thoughtful. Stillness will also reveal what truly matters to you. When external voices quiet, inner priorities become clearer. You begin to recognize which goals are driven by fear and which are guided by meaning. This discernment helps you invest your time and energy more intentionally. There will be moments when stillness feels unproductive, when you feel tempted to fill it because you believe progress only happens through action. Remember this: not all growth is visible. Roots deepen in silence. Strength forms beneath the surface. What is being built within you now will support future action more effectively than constant motion ever could. If you are beginning to sense the value of stillness and how it is shaping your awareness, affirm that insight by commenting, "I welcome stillness," below. Let that intention remind you that silence is not something to fear, but something to receive. Continue with this series through to the end. Each part is designed to help you integrate these practices into daily life, not as obligations, but as supports. Stillness, presence, trust, and awareness are not separate skills. They work together, forming a steadiness that carries you through both calm and challenge. You are learning a quieter way of living that is no less powerful. It is more grounded, more honest, more aligned. And as stillness continues to speak, you will find that its guidance becomes easier to recognize and trust. My child, you may not have noticed it yet, but your pace is beginning to shift, not because you decided to slow down intentionally, but because something within you no longer agrees with constant urgency. What once felt normal now feels heavy. What once felt productive now feels rushed. This change is not resistance to life. It is wisdom forming quietly. For a long time, you learned to measure your worth by movement, by how much you could handle, by how quickly you could respond, by how well you could keep up. That way of living may have helped you survive certain seasons, but it was never meant to be permanent. Survival and alignment are not the same. Now you are moving from one into the other. When your pace changes, it can feel unsettling at first. You may wonder if you are falling behind, losing motivation, or becoming less capable. Let me reassure you, slowing down in awareness does not reduce your effectiveness. It refines it. What you do with presence carries more weight than what you do in haste. A slower pace allows you to notice when something is unnecessary. It gives you permission to stop proving and start discerning. It teaches you that not every opportunity deserves your energy, and not every demand requires an immediate answer. This does not make you unreliable. It makes you intentional. You may begin to notice impatience around you. Others may move faster, speak quicker, decide sooner. Do not mistake speed for certainty. Many run because they are afraid to feel. Many hurry because stillness would reveal what they are avoiding. Your steadiness may feel different, but it is not wrong. This new pace will ask you to trust timing instead of forcing outcomes. Trust that what is meant for you will not require panic. Trust that clarity arrives when you are ready to receive it, not when you pressure it to appear. Trust that rest is not the enemy of progress, but its companion. There will be moments when you feel tempted to return to old rhythms just to feel familiar again. Familiarity can feel comforting, even when it is draining. But pay attention to how your body responds. Notice where tension rises when you rush. Notice where peace settles when you slow. Your body often understands alignment before your mind accepts it. Apply this shift practically. Before filling your schedule, ask what truly needs to be there. Before committing, check whether you feel grounded or pressured. Before reacting, allow a pause. These small adjustments change how your days feel. Over time, they change how your life unfolds. A slower pace also deepens your relationships. When you are not rushing, you listen more fully. You respond more thoughtfully. You become less reactive and more present. This presence creates safety for others and clarity for you. Conversations gain depth. Connections gain honesty. You may realize that some relationships were built on speed and distraction rather than understanding. As your pace changes, those dynamics may shift. This can feel uncomfortable, but it is not a loss. It is an invitation for relationships to grow healthier or make space for new ones aligned with who you are becoming. Your pace is also connected to how you treat yourself. When you rush, you overlook your own needs. When you slow, you begin to notice fatigue, hunger, emotion, and limits. Honoring these is not weakness. It is respect. A life that respects its own limits lasts longer and carries more peace. This does not mean you will never move quickly again. There are moments that require decisive action. But now, action will arise from clarity rather than pressure. Movement will come from alignment rather than anxiety. That is the difference you are learning. If you sense that your relationship with time and speed is changing, acknowledge that awareness by commenting, "I choose steadiness," below. Let that choice remind you that your pace does not need to match the world to be meaningful. Stay with this series until the end. Each part is helping you build a way of living that supports peace, clarity, and purpose, rather than exhaustion. These messages are meant to meet you where you are and walk with you forward, not rush you into conclusions. Your pace will continue to adjust as you listen. Let it. What unfolds at the right speed tends to remain stable. You are not late. You are not lagging. You are learning how to move in a way that sustains you. Remain attentive to this shift. It is guiding you into a life that feels less frantic and more true. My child, I want you to slow your thoughts for a moment and listen without arguing inside yourself. There is a weight you have carried quietly, a pressure that has followed you through seasons, and it sounds like this: I should be further by now. That thought has visited you often. It is spoken in moments of comparison, in silence late at night, and in seasons when progress felt invisible. Today, I want to lift that weight gently and truthfully. You are not behind. You have never been behind. You are not late to your life, and you have not missed your moment. That belief did not come from truth. It came from comparison. It came from watching others move at a different pace and assuming their timing was the standard. But I do not measure lives the way the world does. I do not count worth by speed, and I do not judge growth by visibility. What you call delay, I call preparation. What you call waiting, I call strengthening. What you call lost time, I call foundation. There were seasons when you felt stuck, when nothing seemed to move, no matter how much effort you gave. You questioned yourself then. You wondered what was wrong with you, but nothing was wrong. Those seasons were shaping discernment, humility, patience, and depth. These qualities are not formed in fast seasons. They are formed in quiet ones. You did not waste time when you were healing. You did not fall behind when you were learning. You did not miss anything when you were waiting. Waiting does not mean nothing is happening. It means something important is happening where others cannot see it yet. You have been measuring your life against timelines that were never designed for you, against milestones that belong to other paths, against outcomes that require different capacities and different callings. That comparison has made you question your worth and doubt your direction. But comparison always lies about timing. Your path is quieter because it is deeper. Your process is slower because it is sturdier. Your journey feels longer because it is preparing you to carry more without breaking. Some people arrive quickly and collapse just as fast. Some step into visibility before they have clarity. Some gain momentum without grounding and spend years repairing the damage. Your pace has protected you from that. Even when you didn't understand it, protection was at work. You are not catching up to life. You are arriving into alignment. An arrival does not require panic. It requires presence. This truth changes how you see your past. Regret begins to loosen its grip. Self-criticism softens. You start to see that every step, even the confusing ones, contributed to who you are now. Nothing was random. Nothing was useless. Nothing was overlooked. You are not defined by what you think you should have accomplished by now. You are defined by who you are becoming through awareness, honesty, and willingness. Apply this truth to your daily life. When pressure rises and tells you to rush, pause. Ask yourself whether that pressure comes from fear or truth. Most urgency is fear, pretending to be motivation. Truth does not rush you. Truth steadies you. When thoughts say, others are ahead, remind yourself that alignment matters more than position. When the voice says, you're late, answer it with clarity. I am exactly where I need to be to take my next honest step. You will still grow. You will still move forward. You will still step into new chapters. But now you will do so without the weight of false urgency. Without trying to prove anything, without racing against an imaginary clock. If this truth is settling into your heart and releasing pressure you've carried for a long time, type Amen in the comments as a declaration. not to impress anyone, but to mark this moment of release. And if you are watching this and realizing you are not behind, just becoming, comment something simple like, "I trust the process," to anchor this awareness. I encourage you, my child, to stay with this series until the very end. These messages are not meant to inspire you for a moment and then fade. They are meant to help you live with clarity, peace, and direction in your everyday life. What comes next will continue to build on what is already forming within you. If these words are helping you, strengthening you, or bringing peace into your heart, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this message so it can reach others who are carrying the same hidden pressure. And if you feel led to support this ministry and help keep these messages available, you can do so through the link given below. Your support allows this work to continue reaching hearts that are still searching. There is a subtle difference you are beginning to sense, even if you cannot yet explain it fully. It is the difference between striving and aligning. Striving is driven by fear of falling behind. Aligning is guided by awareness of what is true. For a long time, you lived in striving because you thought effort alone would secure peace. Now you are learning that peace comes when effort is paired with direction. Striving exhausts you because it asks you to carry what was never meant to be carried alone. It pushes you to force outcomes, prove worth, and control timing. Alignment, however, invites cooperation rather than control. It asks you to listen first, then move. It asks you to respond rather than react. This shift changes how you experience your life. You may notice that you are doing less, yet feeling more grounded, less frantic, yet more focused, less driven by urgency, yet clearer about what matters. This can feel unfamiliar, especially if you were praised in the past for pushing through everything without pause. But pushing is not the same as progressing. There were seasons when striving was necessary. You had to survive. You had to hold things together. You had to keep going even when clarity was absent. I honored that strength. But survival is not meant to be a permanent way of living. Alignment is. Alignment does not remove effort from your life. It removes unnecessary resistance. It teaches you where to place your energy so it multiplies instead of drains. When you are aligned, actions feel purposeful rather than pressured. Decisions feel steady rather than rushed. Even challenges feel different because you are not fighting yourself while facing them. You may feel a quiet release happening within you. The need to impress is loosening. The need to explain yourself to everyone is fading. The urge to rush into answers is softening. This is not apathy. It is confidence growing roots. Confidence that does not need constant validation. As you align, you may notice that some doors stop demanding your attention. What once consumed your energy no longer holds the same power. This is not loss. It is clarity. When alignment increases, distractions lose their grip naturally. You are not forcing detachment. You are outgrowing it. Apply this understanding gently. Before acting, ask whether you are responding from fear or from clarity. Fear demands immediate action. Clarity allows thoughtful movement. When you feel pressure to rush, pause, and listen, alignment often reveals itself in that pause. There will be moments when alignment asks you to wait when you would rather move. Waiting does not mean inactivity. It means allowing conditions to form properly. It means trusting that timing matters as much as intention. Seeds planted too early struggle to grow. Seeds planted in season flourish. You may also experience moments where alignment asks you to move, when fear tells you to stay still. Alignment is not always comfortable. It may stretch you. It may ask you to release what is familiar, but it will not hollow you out. It will not violate your peace. That is how you recognize it. As striving fades, your relationships may change. You may become less reactive and more discerning. You may choose depth over volume. Fewer commitments, but more meaningful ones. This is not isolation. It is refinement. Alignment teaches you to invest where growth is mutual. Your inner dialogue will also shift. Harsh self-talk begins to soften. You stop measuring your value by productivity alone. You begin to recognize worth as something inherent, not earned. This change does not make you complacent. It makes you sustainable. There will still be days when old patterns try to resurface, when striving whispers that you are not doing enough, when urgency tries to reclaim control. Do not be discouraged. Awareness allows you to notice these moments without surrendering to them. Each time you choose alignment over pressure, the new way strengthens. You are learning to trust guidance rather than grind. This trust does not remove responsibility. It places responsibility in its proper place. You do what is yours to do, and you release what was never yours to carry. If you feel the shift from striving to aligning taking place within you, acknowledge it by commenting, "I choose alignment," below. Let that choice reinforce the direction you are stepping into. Continue watching this series until the end. Each part is designed to help you live this truth practically, not just understand it intellectually. Alignment grows through consistency, not intensity. Staying with the process allows it to settle deeply. Your life will feel different as alignment increases, not easier in every moment, but clearer. Not free of effort, but free of unnecessary strain. This is how steadiness replaces exhaustion. My child, there is a quiet relief waiting for you, and it arrives the moment you understand this truth. You were never meant to carry everything alone. Much of the exhaustion you have felt did not come from the weight of life itself, but from the way you tried to hold it all at once, without pause, without release, without permission to set anything down. You learned early how to be strong, how to manage, how to keep moving even when you were tired. Others leaned on you, situations depended on you, and responsibilities gathered quietly around your shoulders. Over time, carrying became normal. You did not question the weight, because you had learned how to survive under it. But survival is not the same as sustainability. You may be noticing now that some of the heaviness you feel does not belong to the present moment. It is accumulated weight, old worries that were never resolved, expectations that were never yours, responsibilities you accepted because you thought you had no choice. Awareness is now showing you what you have been holding unconsciously. This realization does not come to overwhelm you. It comes to free you. You are allowed to put things down. You are allowed to say, "This is not mine to carry anymore." You are allowed to rest without justifying it. Strength is not proven by how much you endure. It is revealed by how wisely you choose what to hold. Many people equate responsibility with constant pressure, but responsibility guided by awareness includes boundaries. It recognizes limits. It understands that carrying everything eventually leads to collapse, not competence. You are learning a healthier way. This shift may feel uncomfortable at first. Letting go can feel like losing control. You may worry that if you stop holding everything together, something will fall apart. But what often falls away is not what is essential. It is what was draining you quietly. Notice where your energy leaks. Notice which worries repeat without resolution. Notice which expectations create tension instead of clarity. These are signs pointing you toward release. Awareness shows you what to set down, not to shame you, but to restore balance. Apply this gently. You do not need to drop everything at once. Begin by releasing what you can. Delegate when possible. Pause when overwhelmed. Speak honestly about your limits. Each small act of release creates space for peace to return. You may find that when you stop carrying what is not yours, you have more energy for what truly matters. Presence increases. Patience returns. Joy feels more accessible. This is not because life becomes lighter overnight, but because you stop adding unnecessary weight. You may also notice resistance from others or from within yourself. Some people are used to you always holding things together. Some parts of you are used to equating worth with usefulness. Let those voices be heard, but not obeyed. Worth is not measured by exhaustion. You are still responsible. You are still capable. You are still committed. But now, you are learning discernment, what to carry, what to share, and what to release entirely. Discernment is a form of wisdom that protects your future. This understanding also changes how you respond to stress. Instead of absorbing it all, you begin to ask better questions. What is actually required of me right now? What can wait? What can I let go of? These questions restore agency where overwhelm once lived. There is relief in knowing you are not failing when you feel tired. Fatigue is information. It tells you something needs adjustment. Listening to that signal is not weakness. It is self-respect. As you practice this, your inner life will feel less crowded. Thoughts will slow. Emotions will feel more manageable. Decisions will become clearer. Space creates clarity, and clarity leads to steadiness. If this truth is resonating with you, and you are realizing that you don't have to carry everything anymore, acknowledge that freedom by typing, "I release the weight" in the comments. Let that be a marker of a healthier way forward. Stay with this series until the end. Each part is helping you unlearn patterns that exhausted you and replace them with practices that sustain you. This is not about doing less for the sake of ease. It is about doing what matters with integrity and peace. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to share the load. You are allowed to set boundaries without guilt. Life was never meant to be endured alone. My child, there comes a moment when healing no longer feels like reopening old wounds, but like finally allowing fresh air to reach places that have been closed for a long time. That moment is approaching you now. You are beginning to sense that healing is not something to fear, but something that can be entered gently, without force, without pressure, without reliving everything that once hurt you. For a long time, you survived by staying guarded. You learned how to function while carrying pain quietly. You learned how to smile while protecting tender places. That strength carried you through seasons you did not think you would survive. But strength that protects eventually longs to soften. Protection was necessary then. Healing is necessary now. Healing does not demand that you remember everything at once. It does not rush you into vulnerability. It does not shame you for what you endured. Healing moves at the speed of safety, and safety is something you are beginning to feel again. Slowly, honestly. You may notice that certain memories no longer sting the way they once did. They may still matter, but they no longer control you. You may feel emotion rise and pass without overwhelming you. This is not avoidance. It is integration. Pain loses its grip when it is acknowledged without being relived. You are learning that healing does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without being ruled by what happened. It means understanding your story without living inside it forever. It means allowing the past to inform you, not imprison you. There were times when healing felt impossible because your nervous system was still in survival mode. In survival, there is no room for softness. Everything is about staying upright, staying alert, staying ready. But now, something within you recognizes that the danger has passed. That recognition creates space, and space allows healing to begin. You may find yourself feeling emotions you postponed long ago. Sadness you did not have time for. Anger you were not allowed to express. Grief you had to set aside to keep functioning. These emotions are not arriving to overwhelm you. They are arriving because you are strong enough now to feel them safely. Healing does not require you to go searching for pain. It allows pain to surface naturally when it is ready to be released. You do not need to dig. You only need to be present. Awareness does the work gently. As healing unfolds, you may notice shifts in how you respond to others. Triggers that once set you on edge may lose intensity. You may find yourself responding with curiosity instead of defense. This is not because the past no longer matters, but because it no longer defines your present reactions. Apply this truth with compassion toward yourself. When emotion rises, do not judge it. Do not rush to fix it. Allow it to exist without assigning meaning immediately. Ask, what it needs. Often, it needs acknowledgement more than answers. Healing also involves learning what safety feels like in your body and mind. It feels like breathing more deeply, like releasing tension you did not know you were holding, like allowing rest without guilt. These are signs that your system is learning a new way of being. You may notice that your boundaries are becoming clearer. Healing does not make you passive. It makes you discerning. You learn what environments support your growth and which ones drain you. You become more intentional about where you invest your energy. This is not withdrawal. It is wisdom. There may be moments when you fear that healing will make you weak, that softness will leave you unprotected, but true healing does not remove strength. It refines it. It replaces rigidity with resilience. It allows you to remain open without being exposed. As healing becomes safer, you may also notice joy returning in unexpected ways. Simple moments feel richer. Laughter feels lighter. Peace lingers longer. These are not distractions from healing. They are evidence of it. Joy is not a reward for being healed. It is part of the process. You are not required to heal on anyone else's timeline. There is no schedule to meet, no finish line to cross. Healing unfolds in layers, and each layer reveals more freedom. Trust the pace. Trust your readiness. If you sense that healing is beginning to feel safer for you, that you are no longer bracing against it but allowing it, acknowledge that step by commenting, "I allow healing," below. Let that permission strengthen the process. Stay with this series until the end. Each part is designed to help you move forward with clarity, not force, with honesty, not pressure. Healing is not a detour from your life. It is the way you return to it fully. You are not broken. You never were. You adapted. And now, you are allowed to soften those adaptations and live more freely. My child, there is a difference you are beginning to feel in how you move through your days. It may be subtle, but it is real. You are starting to live from peace instead of pressure. For a long time, pressure was the force that kept you going. Deadlines, expectations, fear of falling behind, fear of disappointing others, all of it pushed you forward. But pressure was never meant to be your guide. It was only meant to be temporary. Peace, on the other hand, is not passive. Peace is active clarity. Peace does not mean the absence of responsibility. It means the presence of alignment. When you live from peace, you still act, you still decide, you still engage, but you do so without the constant weight of urgency pressing on your chest. You may notice that your thoughts are changing. You no longer wake up immediately bracing yourself for the day. You no longer feel the same need to rush into motion to feel safe. This does not mean your life has suddenly become easy. It means your inner posture has shifted. You are no longer driven primarily by fear. Pressure always demands immediate answers. Peace allows thoughtful response. Pressure tells you that everything is urgent. Peace helps you see what actually matters now and what can wait. This clarity does not come from effort. It comes from awareness practiced consistently. For a long time, you believed that pressure was necessary to succeed. You thought if you relaxed, everything would fall apart. But notice what is happening now. As pressure loosens its grip, you are not becoming careless. You are becoming clearer. Your decisions are more intentional. Your energy is more focused. Your boundaries are stronger. Living from peace changes how you experience challenges. Problems no longer feel like threats to your worth. They become situations to navigate rather than crises to survive. This does not remove difficulty, but it removes panic. And without panic, wisdom has space to operate. You may also notice changes in how you speak to yourself. The harsh inner voice that once pushed you relentlessly is quieter. It has not disappeared completely, but it no longer controls you. In its place, there is a steadier tone, one that asks what is needed instead of what is wrong. This shift allows you to rest without guilt. Rest is no longer something you earn after exhaustion. It becomes part of how you maintain clarity. When you rest from peace, you return to action more grounded rather than more depleted. Apply this in your daily life. When you feel pressure rising, pause and ask what it is trying to accomplish. Pressure often pretends to be helpful, but it usually creates more noise than results. Replace it with presence. Presence slows the moment just enough for peace to enter. Living from peace also reshapes your priorities. You begin to choose quality over quantity, depth over appearance, truth over approval. These choices may surprise others, but they will sustain you. A life built on peace does not require constant maintenance. It holds together naturally. You may encounter resistance, both internal and external. Some people are uncomfortable with peace because they have learned to equate urgency with importance. Some parts of you may still fear that without pressure, motivation will disappear. But peace does not remove motivation. It purifies it. When you act from peace, your actions carry integrity. You do not need to explain yourself as much. You do not need to justify your pace. You move with quiet confidence rather than loud effort. This confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment. You are also learning that peace is not something you wait for after life settles down. Peace is something you practice within life as it is. You choose it again and again, especially when circumstances tempt you to return to pressure. If you are recognizing this shift and sensing that peace is beginning to guide you more than pressure, affirm that awareness by commenting, "I choose peace," below. Let that choice reinforce what is already forming within you. Stay with this series until the end. Each part is helping you replace patterns that drained you with practices that strengthen you. Living from peace is not a destination you arrive at once. It is a way of living you learn to return to repeatedly. Pressure will still knock, urgency will still call. But now you know another way. You know how to pause. You know how to listen. You know how to choose peace without abandoning responsibility. Remain grounded in this truth. Peace is not something you earn by doing more. It is something you access by aligning with what is true. And as you live from peace, you will find that your life becomes not only calmer, but clearer, stronger, and more whole. My child, there is a realization beginning to dawn within you, one that changes how you interpret your entire journey. You are starting to see that you are not being pushed through life by force, fear, or pressure. You are being led. There is a difference, and once you recognize it, you cannot unsee it. Being pushed feels frantic. It creates anxiety, urgency, and constant self-doubt. It demands movement without understanding and effort without rest. Being led, however, feels steady. It unfolds step by step. It allows space for listening, learning, and trust. You may not always see the full path ahead, but you sense that each step is purposeful. For much of your life, you mistook pressure for guidance. You believed that if something felt urgent, it must be important. If it felt heavy, it must be necessary. But that belief exhausted you. Now you are learning to recognize another signal, one that feels quieter, calmer, and yet more certain. Guidance does not rush you. Guidance does not shame you. Guidance does not confuse you. It invites you forward with clarity rather than coercion. You may notice that certain decisions are becoming easier, not because they are simpler, but because you are no longer fighting yourself while making them. Resistance decreases when direction is true. Confusion fades when alignment is present. This does not mean every choice is obvious, but it means you are no longer alone with them. Being led also means you are allowed to pause. Pausing does not mean you are disobedient or unmotivated. It means you are attentive. Guidance often speaks in pauses, not in panic. When you slow down, you give direction room to surface. You might look back now and see moments where doors closed unexpectedly, where plans shifted without explanation, where delays interrupted your momentum. At the time, those moments felt like setbacks, Now you can begin to see them differently. They were redirections. They were protection. They were leadership at work. You are not required to force outcomes that are not ready. You are not meant to drag yourself into places that drain your peace. Being led means trusting that what is meant for you will meet you with clarity, not constant resistance. This understanding changes how you relate to uncertainty. Uncertainty no longer feels like abandonment. It becomes an invitation to trust the next step rather than demanding the entire map. Guidance rarely reveals everything at once. It reveals what you need when you are ready to walk with it. Apply this truth to your daily decisions. When you feel pressured to act immediately, pause and listen. Ask whether the movement is coming from fear or from clarity. Fear pushes. Clarity leads. Over time, you will learn to tell the difference more easily. You may also notice that being led requires humility. It asks you to release the illusion of total control. It invites cooperation instead of dominance. This can feel vulnerable at first, especially if you learn to rely only on yourself. But surrendering control does not mean losing agency. It means aligning with wisdom greater than impulse. There will be moments when being led feels slower than being pushed. Trust those moments. Slowness is not delay when it is intentional. Slowness allows you to notice details you would miss in haste. It keeps you from making decisions that look right but feel wrong later. As you live this way, your confidence will grow quietly. Not the kind that needs constant affirmation, but the kind that rests in direction. You will begin to sense when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to hold on and when to let go. This is not something you master overnight. It is a relationship you develop through attentiveness. Each time you choose to listen instead of panic, you strengthen your ability to recognize guidance. Each time you trust clarity over urgency, you deepen alignment. If this truth is settling into your heart and you recognize that you are being led rather than pushed, mark that awareness by typing, "I trust the leading," in the comments. Let that be your quiet agreement with what is unfolding. I encourage you, my child, to stay with this series until the very end. Each part is designed to help you live this guidance practically, not just understand it in theory. These messages are meant to walk with you, not rush you. If these words are helping you and bringing clarity into your life, take a moment now to like, subscribe, and share this message so it can reach others who feel pressured but long for peace. And if you feel led to support this ministry and help keep these teachings available, you can do so through the link given below. Your support allows this work to continue reaching hearts that need reassurance and direction. My child, there is a freedom you are beginning to discover, and it comes not from knowing everything ahead, but from learning how to walk faithfully, one step at a time. For so long, you felt pressure to see the whole picture before you moved. You believed clarity required certainty, and certainty required control. But now you are learning something truer and gentler. You do not need the entire path to take the next honest step. Life was never meant to be lived all at once. It unfolds moment by moment, decision by decision, breath by breath. When you tried to carry the future too early, it weighed you down. When you demanded answers before you were ready to walk them out, confusion grew louder. But when you focus on what is directly in front of you, peace begins to accompany your movement. Walking one step at a time does not mean you lack vision. It means you trust timing. It means you understand that wisdom is revealed progressively, not instantly. Many want revelation without responsibility, answers without action, assurance without obedience. But growth happens when you move with what you have been given, not when you wait for what you think you need. You may notice that as you stop forcing long-range clarity, the present moment becomes clearer. Decisions feel simpler, not because life is easy, but because your attention is no longer scattered across imagined futures. Presence brings focus. Focus brings steadiness. Steadiness allows movement without panic. There were times when you stood still, frozen by the fear of making the wrong choice. You believed that one mistake could ruin everything. That belief kept you stuck longer than any actual error ever could. Walking one step at a time releases you from that fear. It reminds you that direction can be corrected, but paralysis cannot move at all. You are allowed to adjust as you go. You are allowed to learn through movement. You are allowed to grow through experience. Perfection is not required to begin. Willingness is enough. As you practice this way of living, you may notice something surprising. Momentum begins to build naturally. When you stop waiting for perfect conditions, progress becomes possible. Each step reveals the next. Each choice teaches you something useful. Even missteps become instructors rather than verdicts. This way of walking also deepens your trust. Trust grows when you see that each step is met with support, that you are not abandoned between decisions, that guidance does not disappear when certainty fades. Trust is strengthened through participation, not observation. You may still feel moments of anxiety when the future feels unclear. That is human. When those moments arise, return to what you know. What is true now? What is being asked of you today? What step can you take with integrity in this moment? These questions ground you when your thoughts begin to race. Walking one step at a time also teaches patience with yourself. You stop demanding instant mastery. You stop criticizing yourself for not having it all figured out. You begin to appreciate progress instead of fixating on distance remaining. This patience creates kindness within you, and kindness sustains growth far better than pressure ever could. Apply this truth practically. Break overwhelming tasks into smaller, manageable actions. Focus on completing what is before you instead of stressing about everything ahead. Celebrate movement, even when it feels modest. Consistency matters more than intensity. You may notice that some people around you rush ahead, chasing outcomes, trying to arrive quickly. Let them. Your pace is not a reflection of your worth. Walking steadily allows you to remain attentive to what matters. Speed often sacrifices awareness. Awareness protects direction. There will be moments when walking slowly feels risky, especially in a world that praises urgency. But remember this: what is built patiently tends to last. What is rushed often needs repair. You are building a life that can hold what is coming without breaking under its weight. As you walk this way, your confidence will shift. It will no longer come from knowing everything. It will come from knowing you can take the next step faithfully. That confidence is quieter, but it is stronger. It is rooted in trust rather than control. If you are learning to release the pressure of needing to see everything ahead and are choosing to walk one step at a time, acknowledge that decision by commenting, "I will take the next step below." Let that commitment ground you in the present. Stay with this series until the end. Each part is designed to help you live this truth daily, not just understand it conceptually. Walking with awareness transforms not only where you go, but how you experience the journey. My child, there is a quiet shift happening in how you look ahead. The future no longer feels like a looming question mark, filled with pressure and uncertainty. It still holds unknowns, yes, but it no longer feels like a threat you must outrun or control. This change is not because you suddenly have all the answers. It is because you are learning how to stand firmly in the present, without fear pulling you forward. For a long time, the future felt heavy because you carried it too early. You imagined outcomes before they arrived. You rehearsed problems that never came. You measured yourself against scenarios that existed only in thought. That constant projection drained you. Fear thrives in imagined futures, not in lived moments. You are beginning to see that fear often disguises itself as preparation. It tells you that worrying is responsible, that anticipating every possible outcome will keep you safe. But fear does not prepare you. It fragments your attention. It steals peace from moments that deserve presence. Awareness, not worry, is what equips you. The future does not need to be defeated. It needs to be approached with steadiness. When you live grounded in the present, you meet tomorrow with clarity rather than panic. This does not mean you ignore planning or responsibility. It means you plan without obsessing and prepare without bracing. You may notice that thoughts about the future still arise. That is natural. What is changing is how much authority those thoughts hold. They no longer dictate your emotional state. You observe them instead of obeying them. Observation creates space. Space creates choice. This is an important distinction. The future is shaped by how you live now, not by how much you fear later. Each moment of presence strengthens your ability to respond wisely when the time comes. You are not unprepared because you are calm. You are prepared because you are attentive. There were times when fear of what might happen kept you from fully engaging with what was happening. You delayed joy. You postponed peace. You told yourself you would relax later when things were certain. But certainty is not promised. Presence is available now. And presence is where life is actually lived. As fear loosens its grip, you may feel lighter in ways that surprise you. Your body holds less tension. Your mind rests more easily. Your emotions move through you instead of overwhelming you. This is not denial. It is trust, replacing anxiety. Trust does not require guarantees. It requires alignment. When you align with what is true now, you position yourself to meet what comes next with resilience. Fear imagines worst-case scenarios and demands control. Trust acknowledges uncertainty and chooses steadiness anyway. Apply this understanding gently. When anxious thoughts about the future arise, do not argue with them aggressively. Instead, bring your attention back to what is real in this moment. What are you doing right now? What can you influence today? What step is being asked of you now? These questions anchor you. You may find that as you practice this, your intuition becomes clearer. Fear clouds perception. Presence sharpens it. When your mind is not racing ahead, you can hear guidance more easily. Decisions become less frantic and more intentional. This does not mean challenges will disappear. There will still be seasons that require courage, patience, and adaptation. But fear will no longer define how you approach them. You will meet difficulty with clarity instead of panic, with curiosity instead of dread, with steadiness instead of urgency. You are learning that the future is not a test you must pass in advance. It is a series of moments you will meet one by one. Each moment will carry what you need to face it when it arrives. Carrying everything now is unnecessary. Trusting now is enough. If you are beginning to release fear of what lies ahead and are choosing to stay grounded in the present, acknowledge that choice by commenting, "I release fear," below. Let that declaration remind you that peace is available now, not later. Continue with this series until the end. Each part is helping you build a way of living that meets the future with confidence rooted in presence. These messages are not about escaping uncertainty. They are about learning how to walk through it without losing yourself. You are not falling into the future blindly. You are walking toward it with awareness, and awareness will meet each new moment with the clarity it requires. Remain present. The future will take care of itself when you learn how to take care of this moment. My child, there is a deep settling happening within you now, one that goes beyond behavior, beyond habits, beyond even emotions. It is the quiet clarification of who you are becoming, not who you were told to be, not who you had to be to survive, but who you are when fear loosens its grip and awareness takes its place. For a long time, your identity felt fragmented. You were many things to many people. You adapted, adjusted, and shaped yourself to fit expectations, environments, and demands. That adaptability helped you navigate difficult seasons, but it also blurred your sense of self. You learned to ask, "What do they need from me?" more often than "What is true for me?" Now that question is changing. You are beginning to sense your own center again. You are noticing what feels authentic and what feels forced. You are recognizing when you are acting from truth versus when you are performing for approval. This clarity is not loud. It does not arrive with declarations. It shows up as alignment between what you feel, what you choose, and how you live. Identity becomes clearer when you stop living in reaction, when you no longer define yourself by what you avoid, what you fear, or what you are running from. As fear recedes, space opens. And in that space, truth emerges. You may notice that you are less interested in labels, less concerned with fitting neatly into categories. Identity rooted in awareness does not need constant definition. It is experienced rather than explained. You feel it in your choices, your boundaries, your values. This clarity may also bring discomfort at times. When identity sharpens, incongruence becomes harder to ignore. You may feel tension in situations that once felt neutral. This is not confusion. It is honesty rising. When who you are becoming no longer matches certain patterns, your inner life signals the mismatch. You are not changing to become someone else. You are shedding what was never truly you. This process can feel like loss, but it is actually recovery. Recovery of self. Recovery of voice. Recovery of direction. You may begin to notice a quieter confidence forming, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that no longer needs to seek it. You speak more honestly. You say no without over-explaining. You choose what aligns even when it is not popular. This confidence is not arrogance. It is clarity embodied. Identity clarification also changes how you relate to others. You become less reactive to opinions, less dependent on validation, more open to connection without losing yourself. This does not make you distant. It makes you grounded. Grounded people connect more deeply because they are not trying to extract worth from relationships. You may still wrestle with old narratives about who you should be. These narratives do not disappear overnight, but now you can see them for what they are. Stories shaped by past needs, not present truth. Awareness allows you to question them without being consumed by them. Apply this gently in your life. Notice when you act out of obligation rather than alignment. Notice when you silence yourself to keep peace. Notice when you betray your own truth to be accepted. These moments are not failures. They are information guiding you back to yourself. Identity is strengthened through consistency, not perfection. Each time you choose truth over performance, your sense of self becomes steadier. Each time you honor your values, your inner life becomes more coherent. This coherence is what creates peace. You may find that some people respond differently to you as your identity clarifies. Some will feel closer. Others may feel challenged or confused. This is not something you need to manage. Your responsibility is not to maintain comfort, but to live honestly. Those aligned with your truth will adjust. Those who are not may drift. Both are part of growth. This process does not isolate you. It refines your connections. It invites relationships built on mutual respect rather than expectation. It creates space for you to show up fully rather than partially. If you are sensing this growing clarity about who you are and who you are not, acknowledge that awareness by commenting, "I am becoming clearer" below. Let that affirmation anchor what is taking shape within you. Stay with this series until the end. Each part is helping you peel away what obscured your truth and strengthen what is real. Identity is not discovered in a moment. It is revealed over time through attention, honesty, and alignment. You are not lost. You are becoming visible to yourself, and that clarity will guide your steps with greater confidence and peace as you move forward. My child, there comes a moment when a deep question that has followed you quietly begins to answer itself. It is the question of meaning. Not meaning as achievement, not meaning as recognition, but meaning as purpose, woven into your very existence. You may not have asked this question out loud, but it has lived beneath many of your thoughts. Does my life truly matter? Does any of this have purpose? The answer has always been yes, even when you could not feel it. For a long time, meaning felt distant, because you were taught to associate it with outcomes, with success. with impact that could be measured or seen. When those markers felt out of reach or unclear, doubt crept in. You began to wonder if your quiet efforts, your unseen faithfulness, your internal growth mattered at all. Meaning does not wait for visibility. Meaning does not require applause. Meaning does not depend on perfection. Meaning is present when you live aligned with truth, even in small, ordinary moments. You are beginning to understand that your life is not random, not your sensitivity, not your timing, not your pauses, not even your struggles. Everything you have lived through has shaped your capacity to notice, to listen, to respond with depth. Meaning often hides in places the world overlooks. You may have believed that your life needed to look bigger, louder, or more impressive to matter. But meaning is not loud by nature. It is steady. It is consistent. It shows up when you choose integrity over ease, presence over distraction, compassion over indifference. Your kindness has meaning. Your patience has meaning. Your willingness to grow has meaning, even when no one else sees it. There were seasons when you felt insignificant, when your efforts seemed to disappear without effect. Those seasons were teaching you something essential. Meaning is not always immediate. Seeds planted in truth take time to grow. Some of the impact of your life will be felt long after the moment passes. This understanding changes how you treat ordinary days. You no longer dismiss them as unimportant. You begin to see that how you listen, how you speak, how you respond, carries weight. Small choices shape the direction of a life more than dramatic moments ever could. You are not meant to chase meaning. You are meant to live it. Meaning emerges when your actions reflect your values, when your inner life and outer life begin to align. When you choose awareness in moments where distraction would be easier, you may still have questions about the future. That does not cancel meaning. Meaning does not require full understanding. It requires willingness. Willingness to show up honestly. Willingness to remain attentive. Willingness to grow even when progress feels slow. You are beginning to realize that your life's purpose is not one single task to complete, but a way of being to embody. How you love, how you listen, how you respond. These things ripple outward in ways you cannot fully trace. Apply this truth to your life by honoring small moments. Do not rush past opportunities to be present. Do not underestimate the impact of choosing patience when you could choose irritation. Do not dismiss your growth because it feels internal. Internal change shapes external reality more than you know. You may also notice that this understanding brings responsibility, not pressure, but intention. When you realize your life has meaning, you begin to treat it with care. You choose environments that support growth. You step away from patterns that dull awareness. You invest in what nourishes your spirit. Meaning also brings peace. When you know your life matters, you stop grasping for validation. You stop needing constant reassurance. You begin to rest in the quiet confidence that your presence itself is significant. If this truth is settling into your heart, and you are beginning to see your life as meaningful beyond achievement or recognition, acknowledge that awareness by commenting, "My life has meaning," below. Let that declaration strengthen your sense of purpose. Stay with this series until the end. Each part has been guiding you toward this realization, not to inflate you, but to ground you. Meaning is not about becoming more than others. It is about becoming more fully yourself. You are not here by accident. You are not passing time. You are participating in something larger than you can see. And the meaning of your life is unfolding with every aligned step you take. My child, you have reached a place many never slowed down enough to enter. Not because you are better, but because you stayed. You listened. You allowed truth to work gently within you. And now, something has settled in your spirit. A quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself to be real. This confidence is different from what the world teaches. It is not built on comparison. It is not fueled by urgency. It does not depend on approval or outcomes. It comes from alignment. It comes from knowing who you are, where you stand, and how to move forward without abandoning yourself. You may not feel loud certainty. You may not feel dramatic assurance, but you feel steadiness. And steadiness is stronger than excitement. Steadiness carries you through seasons when emotions fluctuate and circumstances change. Steadiness allows you to remain yourself in environments that once pulled you apart. You are no longer driven primarily by fear of making the wrong move. You understand now that growth is not fragile, that clarity is not easily lost, that awareness travels with you wherever you go. This understanding frees you to move forward without hesitation, even when the path is not fully visible. Stepping forward with quiet confidence does not mean you never question yourself. It means questions no longer paralyze you. You can wonder without panicking. You can reflect without retreating. You can pause without losing momentum. Confidence rooted in awareness is flexible, not rigid. You have learned that your pace matters. That presence protects you. That stillness teaches you. That trust grows gradually. These lessons are not theoretical anymore. They live in how you choose, how you respond, how you treat yourself. They shape your daily life in ways that may not always be obvious to others, but they are unmistakable to you. As you step forward, you will still face challenges. Alignment does not remove difficulty. It changes how you meet it. Instead of reacting, you respond. Instead of forcing, you discern. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you remain grounded. This is the fruit of what you have been practicing. You may notice that your voice feels clearer, not louder, but more honest. You speak when it matters. You remain silent when it serves peace. You no longer feel the need to fill space to be seen. Presence has taught you that depth does not require noise. You are also learning to trust yourself, not blindly, but wisely. You know how to listen inwardly. You know how to recognize when something aligns or when it drains you. This self-trust is not arrogance. It is stewardship. You are caring for the life entrusted to you. As you move into what comes next, remember this. You do not need to carry everything you learned as rules. Carry them as awareness. Awareness adapts. It guides you in new situations. It reminds you when to slow down and when to step forward. It keeps you connected to truth, even when circumstances shift. There will be moments when old patterns try to return, when distraction calls, when pressure whispers, when fear tries to reclaim authority. These moments do not mean you have failed. They are invitations to choose again. And now you know how to choose. Apply what you have learned by staying attentive. Continue to honor stillness. Continue to protect presence. Continue to move one step at a time. These practices will keep you grounded long after this series ends. You are not meant to remain here forever. You are meant to carry what you've received into your life, into your decisions, into your relationships, into your work, into your rest. Let this awareness shape how you live, not just how you reflect. If this journey has spoken to your heart, and you are ready to step forward with this quiet confidence, mark this moment by typing, "I will walk in alignment," in the comments. Let that be your closing affirmation and your beginning declaration. My child, thank you for staying until the end. That choice itself reflects the kind of heart you carry. A heart willing to listen. A heart willing to grow. A heart willing to move forward with intention rather than haste. If this series has helped you, brought clarity, or strengthened you in any way, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share, so these words can reach others who are still searching. And if you feel led to support this ministry and help keep these messages available, you can do so through the link given below. Your support helps extend this work to hearts that need reassurance, peace, and direction. Now, go forward, gently but confidently. You are not rushing. You are not drifting. You are walking with awareness. And that is enough. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of living it